So Deepak, the IT industry is all over the place right now. You've got a lot of complaints about people getting laid off, middle managers getting laid off, not enough innovation, not enough creativity. But at the same time, we've got news that TCS has just cracked the $100 billion market capitalization mark. They're ahead of Accenture and a lot of big guys. So how do you put those two facts together? Are we lagging behind, or is it just bad media?
Well, I don't know. I think the problem really is that they are growing. They are very decent companies from a standpoint of saying you've got a stable business. To a certain extent, people thought that Trump would bring in a lot of restrictions on either companies exporting or on companies bringing in people from India and stuff like that. And that's happened to a certain extent. However, the rupee has gone from 64 to 67 nearly. So we have that thing that's kind of brings them a good, nice 5% margin increment on because their expenses are mostly in rupees, their revenues are mostly in non-rupees. So that's, I think, impacted the fact. Plus the fact is that their valuations had gone down. The big buyback that TCS, Infy and all have reduced their total number of outstanding shares by 5 to 10%. So you've got basically a smaller number of shares that is vying for a profit pie that has grown because the dollar has appreciated compared to the rupee. So that improves your earnings per share a little higher than one would have otherwise expected. And therefore your cost per share comes down. Therefore, just to balance that out, people have taken a lot of mid-cap IT companies on the other hand are doing very, very well. So you see Mindtree, you see Mastech, you see NIT Tech, and a bunch of them. All of them have done really, really well.
So give me a difference between the mid-caps and the old guys, like the Infosys, the TCS, Wipro, and the mid-cap guys like Mindtree. What are they doing differently? Is it just the fact that they're smaller so they can be more flexible with their strategies, or is it that they're actually a more innovative company going after new technologies?
They're different. So for instance, you take a Tata Elxsi, which is focused on certain kinds of technologies, that it has a niche kind of a thing. It's largely been an engineering company. So a lot of the engineering applications, including some parts of structural work around applications for electronic vehicles from a testing perspective perhaps, and some of the telecommunications protocol-based work which is being done by another company called SaaSken, or a lot of work around, so there are very different. So for instance, KPIT does a lot of auto-related work. There is Tata Elxsi which does EV, it does a bunch of other stuff. SaaSken which does verticals around telecom, 5G, even EV a little bit, and then some things around building suites for of which allow them certain kind of operating leverage. When you go to a project, you can't just say, listen, I'll throw people at this problem. You have to say, I have expertise. I have already got some pieces of the software built, some kind of a stack. I can reuse that stack and reduce the implementation time for your project by a substantial amount. If you were able to do that, you'll probably get the project faster. The bigger guys have a lot of larger stacks, but because they are so big, they tend to be general purpose stacks. So you have to adapt them for every individual application. Places like Infosys and TCS and a bunch of others, they build vertical stacks for large applications like finance, like insurance. They will build around banking, they will build around insurance. There will be a lot of pre-packaged internalized applications that they can do. And a lot of them do things like SAP implementations and stuff like that. But what's happened is SAP implementations have gone from 40 people to 9 people. A Mindtree can do a 9 people project just as easily as an Infosys can do a 9 people project. So that's changed. So if Mindtree charges lower, you will go to Mindtree. It has the workforce to be able to do 9, 10, 15 people projects, whereas the 500 people projects, which is the bastion of the large players, is no longer a necessity anymore.
So that brings up an interesting point where it goes down from 40 to 9, or even the fact that 500 member projects are not around anymore. That's partly due to the fact that a lot of this stuff is automated, a lot of it is easier to do nowadays. So these new guys, you see, the mid-cap guys, whoever it is, do you think that they're running on the same advantage of India is cheaper, so we're getting business, or are they actually doing something that 10 years down the line, people in the West are going to be copying them?
Nobody's doing stuff that the West will copy.
No. So it's all the same old spreadsheet.
Hardly ever. you don't see a lot of innovation coming out of the tech IT space. A lot of innovation happening at the startup end, and I'm hoping that some of these big guys absorb them. TCS is actually working a lot on trying to innovate, so building innovation labs around patents, around different things that they can leverage for their longer term expertise. I know HCL Tech's also got something around that front. Tech Mahindra not so much, but they're working towards. All of them are trying to build some level of IP, but building an IP like culture is very very difficult for a large. So a company like Tata Elxsi and all that stuff might be able to do it better because they're smaller, you can control culture a little bit more. The larger ones don't. So hopefully this will mean a change. I don't know if it's revolutionary because hardly any of these guys are customer facing in terms of consumer facing. So they can't test their technology with actual customers. So at some point, if we see a company like Tata Elxsi actually build an electric car, that is when you know that they've got something that the West will want to use.
Alright, so then last question for all the college students out there. All these guys are going to IITs, NITs, whatever. Now they're going in there, and most of them in India especially are going to say software engineering, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to say job and move on. But is that what they should be doing? Should they be studying that, or should they be studying one of the new technological buzzwords? You know, the AI, machine learning, blockchain, whatever it is. Do you think there's scope for that in India to not just learn that, but also get a job doing that once you get out?
There's always scope at something. I mean, somebody will always be doing blockchain somewhere or the other, and then there's always jobs available. But you don't have those mass kind of job opportunities like you had with COBOL at some point, or with SAP at some other point. And even now, there are different types of technologies where if you learn them, there are niche opportunities available for those, whether they're very outdated technologies or not. But to a certain extent, I would say focus on learning an industry rather than just focusing on being a software engineer. These broad-based kind of efforts help you if you're being a consultant. And there are lots of consultant kind of roles available. But in the future, the larger time roles will be vertical, and you will need expertise in an industry in order to succeed. So try as many industries as you can get your hands on and find out what really excites you. And then, being a software engineer that's focused, say, on the electric vehicle industry or the call it the AI industry around. AI is not an industry. AI is just a mechanism to do something. So how you use AI to do something, whether it's financial innovation or whether it is learning about roads and therefore helping automated driving vehicles or something like that. I think that is where the real game is. So figure out what application you might be interested in and then focus on that.